Yes, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome all the members of the ICT Club, the teachers, the students, as well as our dear patrons. I want to welcome you to yet another session, another weekly session, another weekly coding session, where we shall be looking at HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Of course, we did look at the same languages last week, and I promised that we shall be proceeding, we shall be going on with the same, since we did not have sufficient time to finish up what we were building last week. And I think that will be what we shall be doing in the rest of the sessions as well, whenever maybe we get caught up with time, we shall still make sure that in the next session, we simply begin from where we stopped. Because as you understand, some of these concepts are quite broad, and at times they might require more explanation. And by the time I realized that I might have maybe left out something. So I decided to come up with this arrangement where I will just be continuing from whichever point I stopped. So for today, we are going to learn some interesting things. And I think following some of the advice from the patron from, I think, Arua SS last week, we shall try to, I will try anyway to narrow down most of what I will be sharing each weekend, because some of the teachers shared some feedback and were like, maybe based on what they've noticed from the sessions, I tend to share a lot of stuff in a lot of code or a lot of information in a very short time period. So that's why I think they had a point, and we are trying to adjust to a new strategy where I share just a few key points. I show you some few code. I show you some few strategies as well, without making the whole session complex, in other words. So that is what we shall be looking at moving forward. So on today's agenda, as usual, we always have a recap, because I understand a lot happens within the week. So I always try to give you a recap of what we looked at, especially in our last session, session 4, and what we shall be looking at in session 5. So for session 5, we shall look at more HTML elements. Last week, I was able to show you additional elements, and this week as well, I'm bringing you some additional elements that we did not get time to add to our website last week. So, of course, we are looking at CSS and JavaScript. I will show you some CSS styling as well as JavaScript, because once we have the HTML elements embedded in our website, then obviously we need to beautify the website. We need to add some CSS. We need to organize the layout of our website using CSS. Additionally, at the end of the day, you want to bring in, you want to make these very elements, you want to make them dynamic. You might want to make them dynamic, or you might want to bring in this notion of event handling that I'll be explaining in these sessions, where, for example, if someone clicks on your image, something can happen. You clicking that event of you clicking on an image can lead to something else happening. Your website can actually execute some additional code that is obviously hidden in the background, abstracted in the background, to make sure that you create a very interactive website. And that's why I'm teaching these concurrently, the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. Obviously, I always do this, like I told you, I think in session 3, that the slides are going to be less with time. We might not even, I think when we move forward, maybe in session 10, you may not see any slides. We shall just be jumping in. We shall be jumping right in, because I want to take full advantage of the 1 hour that we always slot out every weekend. So additionally, we always have a question and answer session. So please, like I always say, take advantage of the question and answer session. In case you haven't understood something, please feel free. This is a learning environment. You can ask whatever question There are no such things there's no such thing as a stupid question in our sessions, because we are all here to learn. So I really encourage you to ask whatever question. Maybe you want to inquire something, or maybe you didn't understand something last week and you really want some clarity. I'll be very glad to help. So session 5 recap. Last week we looked at a couple of things, and one of the main things we looked at last week was what we call responsiveness. So I explained what responsiveness means, and please, if you really want to understand this idea of responsiveness, then you will have to check out session 4, our session 4 on the Kawah platform on YouTube. You can simply search ICT Club weekly session on YouTube, and you'll be able to get that session. So just a minute. So additionally, we're able to look at other things. We're able to look at, we saw what we call referencing videos, images, and files. We're able to see how to reference the videos, how do we reference our images, and how do we reference them as well? How do we reference our files in HTML? I was able to show you that you can have your project, and your project can, with time, obviously, your project can get really big. In other words, your files, maybe your images, your videos can be quite many. So it is not advisable for you to put all your files on the desktop. I simply put my files on desktop in the beginning to show you that you can actually do that, but that's not the best practice. That's not the best way to do things. So you always want to make sure that whenever you're building your site, you always have your files in one folder. And then within that folder, I was able to show you that you can create other folders within there. Maybe you can create a folder for videos, you can create a folder for images, you can as well create a folder for your files. Soon I'll be showing you how you link these files, how you can link multiple files on your web page, and you'll see that I think it will make sense why we actually put most of these files and images and videos in specific folders, that we want to bring in this element of organization, which is very important in all aspects of life. And programming is not any different, that you need to organize your files, you need to organize your images, you need to organize your videos, to make sure that the programming is not complex, that in case you're looking for a certain image, you don't have to struggle. You don't have to go through your entire computer, your entire memory, searching for a certain image that you would have easily put in one folder. So additionally, we're able to look at some extra things. For those who are with us, I think this word isn't a new word, file extension. That should not be a new word for each and every member that was able to start with us, at least from session 1. I've been talking about this. I explained it in session 1. I explained what a file extension is. And I remember in that particular session 1, I even gave you an example of a .exe extension, which is used to represent executable files. And in our last session, I showed you how you can actually find out the extension of any file that you want. I told you that you right click and you always look out for this word properties at the bottom of the menu that comes after you right click. And we were able to see in particular our image file extensions. We saw our .jpg extension, we saw the PNG, using some of the images that I inserted in my website. So additionally, this should not be new. The basic HTML web structure should not be something new to our members. By now, members know how to lay out a basic website. They know how to input the doc type declaration tag. They know how to input the HTML tag. So you should be comfortable with all these tags, at least the ones that are very basic, the head tag, the title tags, and so on, as well as the body tag. And I think I took some ample time to actually explain all of those tags that I included in my website. So in case you might have forgotten, which is understandable, depending on the amount of work at the schools. I would understand if someone maybe forgot one of the tags. So you can always go back, you can ask the patron to search and get you that video. And please take note of the fact that all our sessions are recorded. In case you forget something, please feel free to check it out. Check out some of these sessions. They are well organized. On YouTube, you simply do a search and you'll see they will surely be able to display for you some of these sessions that we've had. So far, we've had 6 sessions. This is the 6th. This is our 6th session. And so in case you're searching for something, make sure that you know that this is our current session. This is the session 6. So session 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 are available as well. So obviously we talked about how to insert images in the website. I showed you how we actually do that using the image tag. Additionally, I showed you how you can actually build a simple image gallery by simply using that very image tag. I showed you how I replicated my image tag into about 13 pictures. And I showed you that by default, these images sort of create a gallery effect, something that looks really nice. And for me personally, I was using using an example of a cast tool. And that is what I'm going to be using as well in this session, that I'll be showing you how I'm coming up with my cast tool so that you can try to pick out maybe 1 or 2 ideas that you can also replicate in your project, whatever project it is. So I showed you this image. I think this was my most important image actually in the last session. This is the most important image, and I hope our members really understood what I explained when I showed you the image of this young man, where I explained that HTML is what we use to build the web structure of our website, to build the structure of our website. And then I told you that we need to put something, to make that web structure look nice. We need to add some other elements. We need to use CSS to style the HTML elements. For example, the CSS helps us to add the color, could help us to add borders like I'll be showing you today, and then to do some other cool stuff that is beyond the capacities and the capabilities of the HTML markup language. So additionally, I said that, yes, the young man was looking nice. He was in a suit, but we need also to make him move around. We need to make him dynamic using JavaScript. And obviously, this young man was just a hypothetical example representing our website. In other words, if this man was our website, the HTML will help us lay out the structure. The CSS will help us beautify the website, to help us add the color and the layout, as well as additionally, we shall bring in the JavaScript to make the elements, the HTML elements, dynamic at the end of the day. So for today, in summary, what you will be learning, at least what you should take away from our session today, so that you make your Saturday, you make attending this session worthwhile. Because I understand that maybe some other colleagues of yours or some students have not participated in this session because maybe they are not interested, or they are not able to attend, or something like that. But you've gotten the chance to attend this session, and I'll really want you to get to benefit from this particular session, so that it does not feel like a waste of time, so that you find attending these sessions worthwhile. So for today, please, at the end of the session, make sure that at least you've learned how to insert videos, audio, and links in HTML. So these are the extra elements I was talking about, that today I'll show you how you add the video to your website, how do you add audio as well, then how do you add links, what we call links. So I'll be showing you that. Additionally, I'll try to explain this concept. I've always wanted to explain this concept of inline, internal, and external CSS, but unfortunately, I always get caught up with time. But today, at least I'll bring in one extra element. We've already seen in our previous session, in our previous sessions, we've already seen how we actually use inline CSS. This time around, I want to show you how I can turn that inline CSS into what we call internal CSS. And so I'll explain that practically, because this is a practical session. So I hope the students that will be coding along with me are also ready. The computers are on, and they will try to replicate my code from the screen, because I think that is really nice, and that is really good. It is very good for practice, some of our members only get a chance to be in the lab on Saturday. Yes, so it would be very good for them to also get a chance to code, to write some code. And please let the members not just sit back and just watch. This is not television. This is a practical session. And I know with time, our members, in case we get some, in case some of the schools get to a point where they have more computers, everyone will get a chance to actually code, because these sessions are not stopping today. We are always here on Saturday at 3 p.m. and we shall continue being here. I know at the end of the term, as well as next term, everyone will be able to call themselves a programmer. They would have written at least one line of code at the end of this at the end of the term. So obviously, I'll also try to show you how we actually create a button in CSS. I want to show you how you can bring in this element of buttons, because normally we take advantage of these buttons to bring in HTML, CSS, as well as JavaScript. I will show you an example of inline JavaScript that you can actually also write JavaScript in the same line as your element. And you will see that that element will execute some code, some JavaScript code, but when you've written it in line. So later on, I'll also show you internal JavaScript. Obviously, since we are still together, I'll take time to explain to you what internal JavaScript is, as well as external JavaScript. So I'll just try to narrow it down to that today at least, please be able to understand this concept of inline and internal CSS. Make sure that at least inserting a video or audio as well as a link in your website is not a new thing. That this is your takeaway this weekend at the end of the day. Then you can also add a simple button to your website, as I will be showing you in my code, in my demonstration. So obviously, as it is our culture here, I know many members, we always have new members every weekend. I can see from our participants list, we have some new names there. And I really want to welcome all of you, those that have never been with us, but today you took out the time to at least be a part of our sessions. That is really encouraging, and it is also motivating for us, because no one wants to come here every weekend and find that there are no participants. It's always good to see that people are really interested in this, and that is what keeps us moving, actually, to see that at the end of the day, we make sure that at least we deliver this content when people are actually receptive. They are really interested in it. So I always share this particular slide, and for some of our members who are joining in today, please, if you want to go to get an in-depth understanding of this particular slide, please check out our session 1, where I took some time to explain each and every step of the designing and planning process for your project or for your program. That even if you come to our sessions, for example, today, and you see me just coding straight away or jumping into the VS Code that I'll be using today, that is not the case. I'm not just jumping into it. I've already gone through the design and planning process. I've already come up with an overall goal. As usual, I always have my requirements. I know my requirements and limitations. I always consider the mockups and pseudocode. For example, last week I was able to show the members the mockup of the website that I'm trying to build. Additionally, I always take time to search for helpful technology, and as it is our culture here, I always try to promote what we call VS Code, the IDE that I use, and you'll see me using it in a while. So obviously, I will show you how we write a program, and please, after taking time to search for helpful technology in your project, make sure that you go ahead and use that technology to write your program. Additionally, you always have to go through the testing and troubleshooting. So for me personally, I've already gone through that because I want to share with you code that actually works. I want to show you the right syntax of all these elements. So I've already done that. I've already tested and gone through the troubleshooting process. So you can always do that as well in case you get some challenges. Maybe you're coding something that is not working. Yeah, please don't stop there. Don't shut down the computer. That is part of the programming process, that sometimes things don't work. And I think programming also teaches you a life skill to some extent. It brings in this mindset of persistence, that in case you want your program to work, you cannot give up in between. You always want to go ahead in case you have some trouble, especially on that stage 6 testing and troubleshooting, please take time to ask maybe your friend. Maybe your friend remembers the syntax. You can do a Google search as well and find out the syntax of whatever is not working, or you can ask your patron. That's why we're encouraging this habit of seeking for help. That seeking for help is not a weakness. It is actually a strength. It shows that someone who actually asks for help is someone who's looking for progress in whatever aspect of their lives that they're looking forward to. So finally, obviously, we finish, and I said finishing does not mean ending the project. It means just publishing whatever you have for that particular time period, because developing software, in the terms of developing software, we never stop improving software. As you can see from our mainstream companies, the Facebooks and so on, the TikToks, they're always trying to make the applications better. Yes, they reach the finished stage, but they were only able to publish a version of the software. Maybe Facebook 1.6. I think for those who take time to see, to look at the applications they download, normally they have a version. Maybe you can have Windows. Now we have Windows 11, but at one point we had Windows 10. Microsoft did not shut down. They applied their organization on Windows 10. They kept on improving, and today we have Windows 11, the latest Windows. So that is what we mean by finishing. So I'll get into the demonstration as usual. I'll get into the demonstration because I think that is the most important bit. And I hope members can actually see my code right here. Some of the code that we actually built last week. This was, let me try to see if I can run it with Live Server. I hope some of our members were also able to install Live Server. I think Live Server is really good. It is actually a plugin. It is actually a plugin that helps you to automate the saving process. In other words, in case you want the changes you make in VS Code to be reflected in your website directly, you always use Live Server. And I took some time to explain to the members how you actually install plugins. You can check out the plugins here. For example, on my screen, you can go to here where we have extensions in case you want to install. And here are some of the plugins. So they always recommend some plugins, but you can always search out whatever you want. And as you can see here, I already have Live Server. So this is Live Server. Please install this in case you don't want to keep on saving your website each and every time. It will save you a lot of time. And in this session, last week, I did not use Live Server because I wanted the members to also, in case maybe you don't have VS Code, because I understand some of the teachers say the members are using Notepad, others are using Sublime Text, which is okay. But in case you're using those IDEs, they don't have the autosave feature. So in case you make a change, please don't be frustrated because it's not working. It could be just because you've forgotten to save. And saving, remember, all our members, please remember the shortcuts as well. Saving is Control-S. And in case you want to cut your code, cutting is Control-X. Yes, in case you want to cut, it's Control-X. And in case you want to paste, it is Control-V. When you get accustomed to the shortcuts, programming as a skill set becomes really, really easy. Things become really easy. You see that things actually flow. Yes, you don't have to really hustle every time with the mouse. You can always take advantage of the keyboard as well to actually do the coding. So I hope everyone can actually see my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. Before I proceed, let me try to stop sharing so that, because I really want everyone to be able to see my screen. Okay, I think the code is much clearer because I was seeing on my other screen here, what you were seeing on your side wasn't very clear. So I'm going to try to zoom out because I want my members to be able to see the code clearly. I want the members to see the code clearly. And please, I hope for those who were here last week, you're not starting from zero. You're not starting from zero. You're with me. You have a doc type. You have a doc type element. You know what a comment is. You have your web structure laid out. In other words, you have the head tag. You have also a nice title. I showed you the title. I showed you how we actually how we insert a title in our project. And then additionally, I was able to show you, I explained what meta tags are. I think in session 3, we explained what meta tags, what we mean by UTF-8. I was able to explain that in session 3. So in case you missed, please go back to session 3 and review that. Additionally, I was able to show you how we add an icon. Please, in case you've forgotten that as well, check out session 3. I think session 3 or session 4. I'm not sure, but I think session 4. It is session 4. So we had an image icon. Additionally, I showed you some inline CSS where I used that to actually change the body of my program. So I'll just try to run this with Live Server. I'll open this with Live Server. So in case you've installed Live Server and you don't know how to execute or how to open your web page with Live Server, you simply go here. There's an icon that looks like a folder. So when you click here, it shows you a list of whatever is in your folder. So this is my folder. I hope you can see. Let me just try to drag it here so that you guys can see it. So this is my folder from last week, where I arranged the folder in an organized manner. I called it Casto. So I renamed my folder to Casto, and I was able to show you some of the contents in the folder. So let me just try to drag the other folder onto the screen that you're seeing. So this is my folder. I showed you that we can actually split our content into different folders. So here's my audio. I have some audio here in my audio folder. Then I have the images. These are the images. These are the cars that I included in my website last week. And this is the video that I have that I'm going to show you, that I'm going to be using as a demonstration, for demonstration purposes, sorry. So in VS Code here, I will try to run this with Live Server. So you simply right click on the program here. This is my program here, first program.html. So I'm sure on your VS Code, you'll be able to see this. For those who are using VS Code, then you can click here, open with Live Server. So when I open with Live Server, it simply runs my project in a web browser, any web browser that you have. So some of you have Edge, maybe you have Microsoft Edge, others have Firefox. It doesn't matter. Your web browser understands HTML. It understands CSS. So, and except with the exception of very old browsers, because I saw some of our members who were sharing with me some feedback, they were having challenges with Edge. There's the old Edge, which is not Microsoft Edge. It disturbs sometimes. You might want to maybe change the color of something. You realize that the old browser is not working. That is because you're using a very old browser. And HTML5 has some different syntax from the syntax we used to use maybe in HTML4 or 3. So please make sure that you're using either the latest version of Firefox or Microsoft or Chrome, sorry, or Google Chrome, as well as Microsoft Edge. Yes. So this is what we had. I'll try to zoom out. So obviously we had some different texts, but I told you that I really wanted to make sure that my website is as realistic as possible. So I added some other paragraphs. So I showed you how we add a paragraph in HTML, sorry. So I showed you the p tag. I think this is the p tag here, right here. So let me try to make it a bit small again so that people can see the p tag. So the p tag is for a paragraph, and I hope the members were able to add their own paragraphs. So these are the images. These are the images that we're able to produce what I just showed you here, to bring out this gallery of racing cars and so on. So I was able to just use the image tag and replicate the same tag multiple times. So please, if you want to begin this from zero, make sure you check out our last session 5. You see how I actually did all this. So for today, I want to bring in some additional elements. I want to show you how we actually insert a video, how we actually insert audio into our site. Yes. So I will encourage the members to use break statements first to break away from whatever code they have above sorry, whatever code they have before we insert the images. Before we insert the video. So you'll use a BR statement. Remember, BR stands for break. BR stands for break. And I think for practice purposes, we also have HR. So for those who are coding with me, you can try out HR. I'll try to put an HR statement here. So HR, you can, I think you can call this a horizontal line for purposes of remembering, though it has a technical term. It has a technical word for it. But for purposes of simplicity, just know that whenever you add an HR tag, you get a horizontal line across your website. I think let me try to demonstrate here. So I think you can see this line here. Let me try to zoom in a bit. So we have a horizontal line here, which we can actually style with CSS. It is right. If the members can actually see my cursor, I'm trying to move this cursor along the horizontal line just to show you how the line will look like when you add an HR element. So you can always add 2 or 3. Since you're the web designers, you can always decide what you want to add. So I'll put an HR line there. Then I can also put an HR line here to separate my images, my gallery from my video, because I want to insert the video as well below that. So as you can see, please try it out. For those who are coding with me, try to add the HR line. You can even add it after some paragraphs up here. It is always okay. I think I showed you how to underline for those who choose to underline for those who will choose to underline their headings. So for today, let me try to show you how we insert a video. So inserting a video and audio, they actually more like the same as inserting an image. So the key things, if I'm to use this code as a reference, we always have source. Whenever you're inserting a video, maybe you're inserting audio or any other file, soon we shall also see how we insert PDFs and so on. But I really want to begin with the basics. So we have this source property. So whenever you're inserting video, audio, images, you take note of the source property. Source property has to be there. It is obviously written in different ways, depending on what you're inserting. But just know that you always have to tell your computer where it is supposed to get the files that you want. Where is it supposed to get your video from? Where is it supposed to get your audio from? So source is very important. So I'll just try to put for you the syntax here. And please, for those who are coding with me, try to be a bit fast, because I want to make sure that at least we get to insert the video, audio, and I also get to show you how we can style them. So you'll begin with what we call a video tag. So when you're inserting a video, we use a video tag. So this is how a video tag looks like. I'll try to zoom in so that everyone can be able to see this clearly, because I understand some people are even using mobile phones and the screens are a bit small. But I hope my VS Code is actually wide enough for everybody to be able to see what I have. So this is my video tag. So you always begin with a video tag, a simple video tag. And remember that a video tag is not a self-closing tag. I explained that in session 3 and session 4, that a self-closing tag is one where you have to include a forward slash. Where you don't have to include a forward slash. But a normal tag, you have to include a forward slash in the tag. So since this is not a self-closing tag, I'll make sure that I also have another tag here, the closing tag for the video tag anyway. So we shall have a forward slash here. Sorry about that. Let me try to make sure that. So you should have something like this. So you should have something like this. You should have the opening video tag, and you should also have the closing video tag, which is not the case. For example, for our image tag is self-closing. Please take note of the difference. Self-closing meaning here we don't need a closing tag for the image tag. We simply type image and then add the other properties. I hope every member now, for those who've been following us, you know what do I mean by a property. A property is the characteristic of the element or the tag. For example, images have width like we saw last week. So for the video, this is our video tag, our basic video tag without any other content, without any properties. This is how you start. So then I talked about how we actually turn these tags into what we call nested tags. If a tag is nested, you make sure that you always press the enter key. You create some space between that tag, because by the time we call it nested, it means it will have some other tags within that very tag. In other words, it will be enclosing some additional tags. So I think up here I already showed you some nested tags like the head tag. So this is our head tag. Let me try to zoom out a bit. So this was our head tag. This is a nested tag. The head tag is a nested tag because it has some other tags. You can put some other tags within it. And so it becomes a nested tag. But for example, our link tag here on line 25 is not a nested tag. It's just a simple tag. It's just a single tag on one line. You can't call this a nested tag. Nested simply means that even if you're working with VS Code, you'll be able to be shown this line here for those who can see my screen clearly. So we have a line here showing us that actually this is a nested tag. So I'll proceed with our video. So after the video tag, make sure you have what we call a source tag. But please take note of the difference here. Take note of the difference with what I have on line 7, what I'm going to type on line 75, and what you have on line 68. So on line 75, we are going to have the source for our video, but we are not going to type src. In this case, we are going to type an entire source tag. We are going to type the entire word source. So we shall type source, and then additionally, as part of the, so anyway, let me just take it step by step. We will have the source tag like that. To look something like that. So make sure you have the video tag, the opening video tag, the closing video tag, and then you will have the source tag in between the video tag. So additionally, we have a property of the source tag in this case. And I think for those who've been following us through the process of inserting images, this particular property of the source tag under the video tag as well is src. And we already know what that means. It means source as well. Yeah, for remembrance purposes, I simply call it source. So whenever I say src, we mean source. But you have to take note of the fact that in the video tag, you actually have to have the full source, the full word source, as well as src. So right here, if you have your video, for example, on the desktop, you can actually insert the name of the video there. But because my video is in a folder, I'm going to show you how we actually reference that video. But additionally, before you even insert the video, you have to have this other property called type. We need to tell our browser what type of video are they going to, what type of video is it? Is it an MKV video? What is its file extension, for example? So you have to specify that to the web browser, otherwise your video will not play or it won't display. So in this case, I'm going to tell my computer, please take note of the syntax. Take note of the syntax, that's very important. We begin with the word video. Then we use the / and say MP4. MP4. So please don't forget the closing quote. The closing quote, as you can see, my VS Code is already telling me that you're making a mistake here. And you can see I have 3 quotes. Take note of the colors. When VS Code shows you a red color, that means you're making a mistake in the syntax. So this is how it's supposed to be. Video / MP4. So you're telling the computer that the type of element I want to insert in this case, or the type of file, is a video of type MP4. You have to know that MP4 simply represents videos. So we have MP4s, we have .mkv extensions for videos, but the most common one is MP4. So when you go maybe to the video library and someone says, uses the file extension says, do you want MP4s or MP3s? What they mean is that, do you want videos or audios? You'll see that for audios, it is always MP3 in most cases, and for videos, it's always MP4. So for our members in Senior 1 and Senior 2, please take note of that. Take note of the fact that MP4 simply represents a video, and MP3 simply represents is a file extension for audios. So I think this is the moment where we actually have to put in our video. We have to put in our video. So I'll show you where the video is right here. So this is my folder. My video is located in this folder called video. My folder is located on a desktop, but within it, we have this folder video. So in video, I have this file here called Rally. This is what I want to insert. This is the video I want to insert. Since I'm building a car store, I want to play for my clients or my visitors, the people who visit my website. I want to show them this video of a racing car. So what I will do, I have to take note. I'll go through the same process of inserting images. I have to take note of the name. So you can see the name is Rally with the capital R. And then I have to take note just to confirm for those who are not sure of the file extensions. I said you always look for this word properties. Whenever you right click on your computer, look for this word properties. Obviously, I'm using Windows 11, which is a bit different from 10, 8, as well as 7. Some of our members were saying that they were getting challenges or not seeing the properties, that option properties. So in case you have Windows 11, please right click, you go to show more options, and then you see this word properties. But most of our members, I think, have Windows 10, Windows 8. So for Windows 8 and 10, when you right click, it simply brings for you this menu straight away. So when you click on properties, it will show you a small box like I showed you last week using when we wanted to insert images. So this is the box. So it shows you all the details about the file. Please remember how we inserted the image. This is how we did it. So in this case, just to prove to you that the video has a .mp4 file extension. Right here, type of file shows .mp4. And it also tells us that this is an MP4 video file. So now that we are empowered with that knowledge, now we can go back to our VS Code right here. And we can tell the computer, we can tell our computer where it's going to find our file, our video file. So like I told you, you always begin, in case your video is in a file, you don't begin straight away with the name. So my video is in the folder video, in the Castor folder. So in this case, I will just say, we'll try to use maybe a / if I remember well. So it is / and obviously for those who are using Visual Studio Code, VS Code, life becomes really easy. It shows you all the folders and the content in your folder. For example, for my case, I have Castor, and these are the files that are there. So I will go to video. It will type for me here to type the code. But please, if you're using Notepad or Notepad++, you're using the Microsoft Notepad, or you're using any other IDE that does not give you some of these advantages, then you have to go ahead and type this manually. So I'll just click here and it will bring for me the name of the video, rally.mp4. So this is the syntax. Let me try to zoom out. So that's the syntax for the video. Please take note of the syntax. That's the syntax for the video. So so we have our source here showing the folder. You begin with the folder / folder. Then you put the name of the video. Then I think I can run that just to show you what we have, because there's a very important concept that I want to show you here. So this is how our video looks like. Please take note of this. This is how our video looks like. And I think by default, you can see there's something wrong, something totally wrong, because the video is not being displayed. All we have is a very big black box showing where the video is supposed to be. But unfortunately, the video does not play. And that is simply because I intentionally left out this. There's a keyword called controls. And please take note of the fact that this is a keyword. It's not a property. Though they are the same, but it is a keyword. A keyword simply means a statement that you use or a word that you use to give the browser an instruction without necessarily giving it a value. If you take note of just to explain this to you in a technical way, if you take note of these other, what we call properties, they always have a value. I gave you, I think in our session, I gave you an example of a human being. When we say maybe John has a name, we could say that this person has a name. That means that name has a value. And in this context, I'll talk about someone called John. If that person has a name, then the name has the value, the name property or the name characteristics has a value, John. So that's why we are replicating that. For example, here in the source, under the source tag, we said this source tag has a property, source. And since it is a property, it must have a value. We are giving it the source, we are giving the value of the source property. we are giving it video rally.mp4. Even type, the same thing with type, we gave it a value video/mp4. That was the same case for our image tag, where we had source as well, we gave it a value. So these are called properties. But you will take, if you notice this word controls, it has no property, it has no value, sorry. It has no equal sign. You don't need to include an equal sign there. So what the controls keyword does, it brings for you the controls for the video. As you can see, because I've added the controls keyword, I expect to see some controls here on my video. So in case I clicked here, this video is supposed to play, as you can see. Yes, though I haven't added some other properties, for those who can see my screen, I have the video right here. I read you about racing cars. You can see the cars racing as well. So I'll just try to forward it. So with these controls, you can do whatever you want. You can make it full screen as well. Though it is very wide, the video is very wide, I'm going to try to make it small using the width and height properties. So as it is playing, let me try to pause there. I'll go back because, as you can see, my visitors, the people who will be visiting my website will not be impressed with this. Of course, they will like the video, but the video is too big. We need to organize it in an appropriate manner. So I'll go back to the VS Code, and similar to what we did here, adding the width and height, I will add the width and height properties to my video. I'll actually just copy this in case I don't want to actually code again. And I told you, please, you don't have to right click like I'm doing here every time. You can actually use Ctrl+C to copy this, to copy any content that you want. So I'll paste this here. You make sure that when you're coding, it's always good to end with the controls keyword so that you don't forget it when you're starting your video. Even audio, when you make sure that the controls keyword is the one that is the last at the end. The properties are always in the middle. So that is simply a nice coding practice, a good coding practice, in other words. Because when sometimes people get this controls keyword and put it in the middle here. Yes, the video will play, but that is not the best practice because normally people forget the controls keyword. Yes, so let me try to see how my video looks like with 400 pixels, 400 by 400. Yes, I think this is good enough. 400 by 400. Yes, let me try to see what we have right here. So I think the video is quite small. This is a bit decent, more decent than what we had. And I'll play it right again. So you can see that the video is very organized. You can see that it's actually playing. I can forward it. I can increase the volume right here. Though you can't hear my volume because I actually the volume is not enabled on the session on the Zoom platform. I actually deactivated that. So, but on your side, in case you insert the video, you hear the audio, and you'll be able to make it full screen as well. In case you want to make it full screen, as you can see right there, the video is playing in full screen mode. So I can press escape here to make it smaller, and then I can pause it now. I can actually, I think right here, you can even increase the speed. Yes, you can increase the speed. You can, the visitors can actually download it. And that is all enabled by the controls keyword right here that I showed you right here. Controls. Without this keyword, you won't have those controls. Even if I remove it right now, just as an example, you will see that we actually don't have the controls here. So please take note of that. And that is it for the videos. So you can always you can even copy and paste this multiple times just for purposes of demonstration. Let me try to copy it. I can put here two videos, copy the same code and paste. You see that we have two videos. So in case you want to also create a gallery of videos, you can use this as well. You can copy and paste and create a nice gallery of different videos. So you simply change the name of the video. So I'll just make sure that there are 3 right here. So I have 3 videos in my code right now. So these are my videos. Yes, so that is it for the videos. I hope now members know how to add a video. So I will now put another break statement here as well. I'll try adding another HR line as well. So let me use 2 break statements to create 2 lines, as well as add HR statement. And we said HR simply creates for you a horizontal line, as you can see right here in my code, this line here. So let me go back, then I show you how you actually add the audio, how you can add. Let me delete this. So now we are going to the audio. I'll begin with the comments. So for the most part, I already have the code here, and I told you, in case you have some code that you want to reuse, please don't type it again. Make sure you practice using shortcuts, the Control-C for copying, the Control-V for pasting. So that saves you a lot of time. You don't have to type again. So that's why I'm copying this shortcut, this comment here. So here, this is my comment. I'm going to say this is my audio, adding audio, for example. It can be different for you, but this is mine, adding audio. Yes. So this is, please take note of this. Take note of this. I'm just showing you a quick way of operating the audio tag. So the audio tag in this case is not going to be different from the video tag. It's actually going to be the same. We are going to begin with an audio tag. So we shall, anyway, just to make it, to put it simply, we shall replace the word video with the word audio first. Wherever you see video here, I'm going to replace it with audio. So I'll just copy this again. For those who are coding with me, just copy your video tag and paste it below here. Just paste it below because this is what we shall be editing. We don't need to type again. So I will type audio. I will change the word video to audio. So this will be audio. Audio. And also we shall have audio here. So it's the same tag, but I'm trying to create it. I'm just trying to edit it to create an audio, to insert audio. So this will also be audio. So first eliminate all the words video from this tag and make sure you turn them into audio. Then additionally, instead of having MP4, the file extension for audios is always, like I said, is always MP3. You will change the MP4 to MP3. So additionally, when we are inserting audios, for the most part, we don't need width and height because audio has no width. Your audio has no width, it has no height. Those are properties or characteristics of a video and an image. So you will not need the width and height properties. All you will need is your keyword controls because you don't want to reach your audio when you cannot play it. So this is it. So obviously I have to change the name of my audio. I have to change the name of my audio. Let me go to my folder here just to show the members that I actually have an audio in this folder. So this is my video folder and this is my audio folder. This is my audio folder. So when I go to audio, I have this audio, my song. I'm calling it my song. That is the name. Please take note of the name on your computer. The name is very important. You don't just type, don't try type my name or the file of the name of my file. Your files might be different. Maybe you have some nice audio on your computer and it is named differently. Take note of the name, please. So my name here is my song. So in my VS Code, I will type there, my song. So to be my song dot, please take note of the extension as well, .mp3. In this case, .mp3. So please remember also that my MP3, my song, in other words, is in a folder. So like I said, you always begin with the / and then you choose the folder, audio. And then you add my song.mp3. So if your folder, if your file is on the desktop and you have all your files on the desktop, you have your video on the desktop, then you don't need to add this particular line of code. You don't need to add the folder audio. But in case it is in a folder, you can reference it using this syntax. So let us check out this audio so that, let me check out this audio if it is playing. So I think you can see below here, we have the audio and we have the controls as well. So if I remove the controls keyword, these controls won't appear. Please take note of that. The controls keyword is very important. So this is the audio. And if I play the audio on my end, I can actually hear this audio. Though on your end, you're not going to hear this. You're not going to hear the song, but on your end, you hear it. It will actually be playing. So you can also increase the volume as well. You can mute, you can do many things with the audio. You can download. As you can see here, I can actually increase the speed. It gives me that option of increasing the speed as well. I can increase the speed to 0.7 and so on. So that's what the controls keyword avails you. So that is it for audio and video. So thirdly, I want to show you how we add Please take note of the syntax, how we add links to our web page. A simple link, which we normally call hyperlinks. The technical word is hyperlinks, but in the if you're a layman, I think links works as well. It works well as well. You can call them links, but technically we call them hyperlinks. Hyperlinks. So a link is simply something you can click on and then takes you to a certain website, or it takes you to a certain page. I think some of our members have been able to see that on some of the websites, so that you can have a word which is normally highlighted. When you click on it, it takes you to another page. So in this case, I'll begin with the comment quite quickly. Let me try to be a bit fast again. So I'll add this right here. I'll add a comment, adding a link. So adding a link, I'll try to show you the syntax here. In case I wanted to add a link, maybe to, I'm going to add a link to, which website can I go to? To google.com. I'm going to add a link to google.com. So in case I want to add a link to google.com, I will have to, use what we call the A tag or the anchor tag. So the A tag simply represents the word anchor. Yeah? Anchor simply meaning that, anyway, in literal terms, anchor means having a sort of a strong point, sort of a link. If you've seen ships, the way ships are placed at the dock, we normally have an anchor holding them, ships or boats or whatever, any other floating body. In case you want it to remain in one place, we have something that is called an anchor. Just to put that in perspective for you, we have something where they tie that boat so that it does not move away, or it does not just move or stray away on the sea. So that's what we mean by an anchor. So A, in case you want to remember it well, remember that A represents the word anchor. It is an anchor tag. But you can simply call it an A tag, because at the end of the day, we want you to be able to code, not just to maybe memorize all these words. That's why I'm going to be calling it an A tag. So you always begin with an A tag like this, and an A tag is not a self-closing tag. It's a normal tag. As you can see, VS Code is already giving me the closing tag as well. So the A tag has a property called, has a reference. I think we saw this when we were adding our icon, the href attribute or property. So we have the href. So under href, we shall have our link. I will have to put the link right there where our members will be able to, the website that our members will be able to visit when they click on the word that I'm going to put here. So let me say I put here a statement in between the anchor tag, search on Google, for example, search on Google. In case I want people to search for something on my website, search on Google. Search on Google. So right here, I will have to put in the link for Google. The link for Google. The address for the web address for Google. So I'll come right here. Let me try to find out the web address. Normally it begins with HTTPS and so on. So I'll get that link. And paste it right here. So this is it, google.com. So in case I wanted to go to google.com, www.google.com, my web address would look something like this, www.google.com. So you have to put in the whole link here. So in case you're not sure of the link, you can go to the browser. You can go to a browser. For example, my browser right here. Let me try to drag it here so that people can see it. So my browser right here, in case you wanted to go, for example, to YouTube. I can go to YouTube right here. So this is my YouTube. So in case I wanted to create a hyperlink to YouTube, I can just click here in my browser right here. And then I can copy the address. This is the address. This is what I mean by address. Please take note of this. The address begins with HTTPS. You copy this entire thing. But in this case, I'm going to Google. Okay, I think let me change it to YouTube to save time. So I'll copy this entire address again. I'll minimize, and then I'll paste it right here instead of google.com. I'll paste it right here, and then I'll say search on YouTube. Because I want my users to search for maybe something on YouTube. So when I go to my folder, when I go to my browser right here, you see that right here, I have the word search on YouTube. So it's a bit congested. And I think the members know how to decongest some of these things. What you do, you always add break tags, because I want my search for YouTube to be on a new line. I'll add break BR, the BR tag, BR, then another BR right here. So I have two BR tags. So this word search for YouTube, it will be on its own line. It will be on its own line. So I go back right here. As you can see, it is actually below here. Let me try to add some more space. Let me try to add some more space to separate it from the rest of the elements. Let me make it 4 break tags. And also for the audio, to make my website decent, I'll make it 4. So when I go back on my page here, hopefully I can zoom in. Let me zoom in a bit, because some members may not be able to see this. So this is it. This is it. This is the link that I'm talking about. Search on YouTube. Let me try to add more break tags below it. I'll just copy this and paste it below. So by the break tag simply helps me to create, to put the things on different lines. The BR tag. So if I try to, as you can see, this is the word search on YouTube. So when you create a link using the anchor tag, when someone clicks on that link, as long as they have access to internet, obviously, this word search on YouTube will take them to this YouTube platform, because this is the address of YouTube. So that means you can use this particular section to take your users to different websites. It could be google.com. It could be any other website that you want. Maybe you want to take them to your ICT Club website, then you can do that as well. So when I click on this hyperlink, it will take me to YouTube, as you can see. You understand? So I hope this is quite self-explanatory, and you've been able to learn how we add links. So you can as well turn any word in your paragraph into a hyperlink by putting it in between the A tags. So please take note of this syntax, take note of the syntax. And in case you've forgotten the syntax, make sure you always, you take time to review this session as well, because it's going to be uploaded today. You can review it later on. So that is it for the links, for the videos, and so on. So additionally, I want now to take some time to add some CSS here, because now we've looked at the HTML. I want to add for you some CSS in this particular, in some of the elements that we've actually created. So I talked about the fact that we already looked at inline CSS. We already looked at inline CSS. For example, here in my line of code, we changed the body of this of my website to yellow using inline CSS. So just to show you briefly what we mean by internal or embedded CSS. So why do we even need internal CSS to begin with? So as you can see here, we do have inline CSS, but as you understand, technology advances with time. So the people who developed HTML realized that the HTML and CSS realized that there was a lot of congestion with these properties. For example, I'm going to try to show you using a practical example here. So if I had many properties, for example, I had maybe background, I had border, and so on right here, you would see that with time, if I pasted many properties here, this code would actually be a little bit congested. Sometimes we build websites which have a lot of CSS, and you'd find that there's a lot of CSS that is actually mixed up with the HTML, and the whole thing looks a bit messed up. So that's why they had to come up with these two concepts, internal and external CSS, that you can have your CSS maybe embedded somewhere in one section in your HTML, or externally, you can create an external file where you can put that CSS. So I'll show you the external CSS in the next session, but for today, at least I want you to be able to understand what we mean by the internal or embedded CSS. So I'm going to try to change my line of code here, my code of the body. Instead of having the inline CSS style is equal to background and so on, I'm going to put the same code in another type, because I really don't want to use the inline CSS. I want to maybe have advanced as a programmer. and I'm tired of having inline CSS congesting my program. So I will make sure that I add what they call a style tag to my program. So I can add a style tag anywhere in the body. I can add that style tag anywhere in the body. So in this case, I will just maybe, I think this section is also good. So I will, first of all, I will delete this. I'll try to delete this. I'll try to delete, anyway, let me not delete it because I really want people to understand what I'm doing right here. I'm going to turn this line of code. I want to turn this line of code, the style code, the CSS, I want to turn it into embedded CSS. In other words, I'm going to use what we call a style tag. I'm going to use a style tag to code, write that same line of code, but within one section, within one style tag, in such a way that all our code, we can have all our CSS code in one section rather than it being in different, in different lines. For example, here we styled the heading to red, and I think we had some other inline CSS. So we have here a heading in red, and we also have our body in yellow. What if I wanted to make that CSS embedded? I want it to be internal, but not inline. So what I will do, I'll come here. This is the syntax. Please take note of the CSS syntax in case you're tired of inline CSS and you want to use internal CSS instead. So next time, like I've said, I will show you how we turn even the internal and turn it into external CSS. In other words, we shall be creating an external file for the CSS. So here, what I will do to replicate that line of code, under my CSS, I will type the word body. Then I'll create these curly braces here, these curly braces. So when I say body in CSS, I'm simply calling out this element. I'm telling the browser that please select an element or select the tag called body. And I want you to do the following things for that particular element. I want you to style it in this kind of way. So in this case, for this particular body element, we wanted to change its background color to yellow. So under this body tag, oh, I think some members are not seeing what I'm coding. Let me try to zoom out. So this is our inline CSS, and I'm turning it into internal CSS. So under the body, under the body's curly braces, right here. Let me try to break so that people can see my curly braces clearly. So in these curly braces, I will type the same line of code. Actually, I'll just copy it to make it simpler for our members. I will copy this background color line, but in this case, I want to include the quotations because the quotations, we only include them when we are doing, when we are actually handling inline CSS. So this is the simple syntax. I hope the members can see this clearly. This is a simple syntax of how you can style your body using internal CSS. So normally we actually type the curly braces on the same line with the name of the element. So I'll take this curly brace back since people can see my code well now. So this is it. This is it, members, in case you wanted to use embedded CSS instead of inline. So these two lines of code do the same thing. They change the background of your website to yellow. But in this case, I want to eliminate this inline. I've advanced as a programmer. I've learned about inline CSS. So let me just take this right back. I don't know what is happening anyway. Let me just undo a bit. Yes, so this is how it's supposed to look like. That in your body, you can have a style tag that where you can actually put all your code, all your CSS code. And in this case, I'm styling my body the same way. In a different way using style tags instead of the inline CSS. So I can as well style this heading. As you can see, my heading was in red. I can, instead of having this inline CSS, I can remove this. I can simply say, take note of the name of the tag. This is my heading 1 tag. So I'll come here and type heading 1. I will start another CSS selector. These are called CSS selectors. So when in CSS, they are called selectors. In HTML, they are called elements. Because CSS is for styling, we always have to select the element. That's where the word selectors comes from. So when I type the word body in CSS, I'm selecting the body element. So in case I want to style the H1 element, I have to use the H1 selector. I think you can see in my VS Code here, it's telling me that this is a selector. So this is selector, specificity, and so on. But the key word here is selector. Just know whenever you use H1, body, and so on. We call these selectors. So I'll create an H1 selector, follow the same syntax. So please take note of the fact that if you leave your curly braces empty, VS Code also tells you, it puts a line, sort of a line showing that there's a problem here under your selector. So what was my property for the heading 1? It was color. So I'll select this color and I will copy it. So for those who don't have VS Code, obviously, you have to code it manually. I showed you how we actually do that in the last session. You can code the property. Simply type color, you simply type color, the full colon, I think the full colon, and then you type your property like here. Like for example, here I have the property color. It's we have then this full colon in the middle. Then we have its value red. We have the value red here, and then we have a semicolon. You always have to have a semicolon. So the purpose of that semicolon, just to put it in perspective, is for us to terminate. So when computers are executing programs, they always want to know where they're supposed to stop. In other words, so it's always good to terminate your program. Some languages always demand that you terminate a statement. So in line 44, I have what we call a line of code or a statement. When I say statement, I simply mean line of code. So this is my code. This is my code. Let me see if my website actually is still functional. Let me go where the website is. I'll run it right again. I'll run it right again here. Open the live server. And now we can see, I think we can see that I still have the same store. I still have the same store. My background is still yellow and my title is still red. So just to show you that it is that code that is executing this, I can go back to VS Code here and I can change this color to maybe blue. Just to show you that my CSS is working fine, I can change that to blue. And then you'll see that actually, when I go back right here to my, was it the title? Let me see. Let me actually go back. Something's off. So I was supposed to change the heading 1. Sorry, I had left the inline CSS. So there's a conflict. Whenever you leave the inline CSS and then do the external, there's always a conflict. And inline CSS, I think, is always has a priority. Always has a priority in your program. So let me try to remove the inline CSS and try again and see what could be the issue. Hopefully my program will be working fine. So I think you can see where the problem was. The problem was I had inline CSS telling my computer that the heading should be red, and then I had embedded CSS telling my program that my heading should be blue. So when I removed the inline, it was able to show me a blue heading. So now we have a blue heading here, cache store. My store is in blue. So in case I want to change the background, I can use the same code. Instead of having maybe red, maybe having yellow for my background here, I can simply change this to maybe yellow or pink. Let me try pink. Yes, so when I go back to my program here, you see that my background is actually pink. So that is it, members. I hope now you've learned, at least you have a faint idea. You have a small idea about how we can actually change the colors of our background, of our website, sorry. How we can actually change the color of some of our headings using CSS, using both inline and external CSS. So we have about 8 minutes to go, and I don't think that is sufficient for me to show you the JavaScript as well as the buttons. But please don't worry about that. In our next session, I'll actually begin from there. I'll show you the buttons. I'll show you how we can add some JavaScript, some inline JavaScript in our buttons. So please, I always make sure that I accord some time to our members to say something. So in the last minutes, I'm going to stop sharing, and I will invite our members, those who want to say something, maybe they want to share the experience for today, as well as tell us maybe in case you're working on something at your school, you can also share with the rest of the members. This is a learning platform, so we always encourage interactions. So I'll invite anyone who wants to say something, in case you want to share, in case you want to say anything to the members. The members are always listening, and they also want to learn from you. So please, in case you want to comment on today's session, or you want to tell us something, you can raise up your hand. You can click on the button right there and say something, and as well as ask a question. Yes, and to be honest, I actually appreciate the attendance again. I can see, I wasn't seeing the participants, but now I can see them. I appreciate Arua SS, the patron. There seems to be really serious. But the big girls, as usual, they're always on. So I'm going to, Mr. Wamanga, I'll begin with Mr. Wamanga. Mr. Wamanga wants to say something. Yes, Mr. Wamanga. Oh, sorry, I have to unmute. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you so much for.
Yes, Mr. Wamanga, you're unmuted.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation, Emma.
Mr. Wamanga, I think you're unmuted.
Yes, I don't know whether you can hear me now. Is it
yes,
my mouthpiece which has a problem?
I think but we can hear you now. We can hear you now. Well, we can hear you well.
Oh, okay, that's very good. That's very good. So thank you so much for the presentation, Emma. And it is encouraging that, yeah, we are moving forward in the right way. Yes. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the members who have been consistent in attending, Padiwe Girls, Arua Secondary, Mr. Chole, Masindi SS, and this Calcium, I think that is St. Charles Rwanda Kalori.
Yes.
Okay, St. Mark, and all the members who have joined. I want to thank Ronald Wafumba from that is St. Francis, or not St. Francis, but Francis Ayume in Koboko, and all the colleagues who have managed to join. I think it is always good for us to reflect on why we are attending this, and that will guide us much better. So, like had suggested last time, that maybe at the end of it, we shall have to see how members will come up either in a certified way, so that they can be able to have something to show and also benefit from that. Apart from that, I think it's also good to go on with the project at school. If one is just coming up with maybe a website for the project, a website for the school, a website for any project that you are coming up with, yeah, that will guide the motivation to concentrate and to complete some of the assignment the facilitator is giving. Otherwise, when we attend without action and ultimate end of to benefit from it, sometimes we don't really organize ourselves better. So I am just requesting that every participant should really look at it as helping yourself or helping your students to come up with a project or an activity that would be shown at the end. Apart from that, we're also going to try to work out with the schools so that there are some participants who can be able to maybe to be satisfied with the DIT, so that at least a certificate in web design or web development it carries weight and can push us to a very good level. I'm so grateful to all the members who have attended and who have made it a habit to attend always. This is our own. Let us continue with it so that we can all shine together. Thank you so much, facilitator, for the presentation and the guidance.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Wamanga, for sharing those words with us. And thank you for inspiring the members as well. I think Mr. Wamanga has some critical points inside there that are really vital as well, that you should at least have a project going on in your ICT club. That let these sessions not be just about watching my screen, especially, but also let them be a source of information, a source of ideas for you to replicate in your project. So I also want to thank, I think, all the members, St. Kalori as well as I can see here in the chat, the ICT club from St. Mark's College, Namagoma. They're also appreciating the service. We also want to thank you for attending, as well as I think I can see obviously Padibe Girls is always there, St. Kalori and so on. Masindi SS as well. I think this is the first session for Masindi SS. Although the patron has always been there, I'm glad that the students have also now joined in. So I don't know whether there's any other member who wants to say something before we close. St. Mark wanted to say something. The people from St. Mark, are they still on? St. Mark. Any members from Masindi SS? Maybe there's something you didn't understand in the code that I have to explain. Maybe expound on. Please, you're welcome. So that I can make sure that at least we have a foundation. I'm sure at least by now, people have a foundation for CSS. They have a nice foundation for HTML. Okay, Mr. Nato wants to say something. I'll unmute you here. So, Mr.
Thank
Nato.
you very much.
Okay.
For us, we have been following, and it is a very good initiative.
Yes.
And all the students have been happy by viewing and following when they are seeing all these things happen.
Yes.
They always think maybe it is different from what we always try to learn, but they are seeing it is similar, and even there are some more ingredients that are added in these things. And actually, they are now interested in creating things with more pictures and more videos. So they were of the view, they will create theirs so that they can record their sessions, record what they are doing in their projects, and then they put on their ICT Club website. So they are aiming at creating their ICT Club website because they had none. So right now, that's what they are planning, and also make it creative the way you are also creating. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Nato. I like the fact that the Masindi SS ICT Club has actually taken this up with a lot of enthusiasm, as well as a lot of interest, because that is what we are trying to bring on the table here. We want to make sure that the members at least get interested in this. Please make sure that at least you start a small project at your in your ICT Club, especially. Make sure you start a small project. Even it could be a practice web project, just for purposes of learning, so that every weekend you can add something. Whenever I show you maybe to add a video, you can as well add that video. You can add the image, similar to what Mr. Nato is saying right there. And I was very glad when I saw some of the members at Masindi SS actually. They had some mock-ups, I think. They had some mock-ups of their website. So I will allow St. Mark as well to say something. St. Mark. Okay, I think I have to unmute. Sorry about that. I'll unmute St. Mark. I think you're unmuted. You're unmuted, St. Mark. The people from
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, like we were asking, like Mr. Moses was talking about competitions.
Yes.
Like we're asking, is it possible, like, are there robotics competitions? Because like our club is mostly focused in robotics and also applications, like making applications, also making animations. Like so far now we have taught our students of ICT Club how to build games for using Scratch. You have heard about the Scratch application, which was taught by the African coders?
Yes, we did cover Scratch. I think I highlighted on Scratch in our second session when we introduced block coding, and I'm glad that the members at St. Mark have taken this forward as well. You're creating some games in Scratch. That is really good. As though,
and also,
yes, additionally,
we also have like some knowledge about the Blender stuff plus the Pencil 2D. I hope you ever heard about it. Yes. And also we're looking forward if you know some competitions under hacking, because also we have a hacking section at our school, and like software used like Kali Linux, the Tamax. Yeah, it is. Like if you have those competition links, you can share them with us, or you share us with your number. You had promised to share us with your number, but
Oh,
we left early.
yes, sorry. So I'm going to type my number right now in the chat, but as I'm typing, I'll allow Mr. Moses to respond to that. Then Mr. Chole will come in after Mr. Moses. Yes, Mr. Moses, can you respond to the member? Our esteemed members from St. Mark. Mr. Moses, I'll unmute. I think you're unmuted.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
I was complaining that mine is permanently muted.
No.
But that's
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Just responding to St. Mark, there is an upcoming competition which takes up all, starting from robotics, embedded systems, Raspberry Pi apps, web apps, Android. So this is a part of the National Communications Conference, NCC 2023. So we're going to have regional competitions for Central Region. And I request that St. Mark send me your email and maybe WhatsApp number, and I'll give you a bit of more details, but it is on. We are going to have a regional competition and the final competition in October. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wamanga. I'll also unmute Mr. Chole so that you can tell us, you can have a word as well. Mr. Chole, you're welcome.
Thank you, facilitator. Thank you for the wonderful job you are doing.
Yes.
Quite new, but I've been trying to play it, and I think it's a wonderful thing. Hopefully, with time, more schools will come on board. I know many schools now have internet. Today, they're just at school, maybe some even lounging around. They should really connect to this thing and learn. So thanks for that, for the good work. Mine are just suggestions. I've been just thinking to myself. Now I want to think aloud about it.
Yes.
I'm thinking, this is just a thought for you as a facilitator.
Yes.
That maybe as you move on with this thing, building knowledge, what is a possibility of maybe even once in a month, if possible, of turning a part of this session into question and answer session, where I think it would be good for you to also hear from the people, from the kind of questions they ask. You'll also be able to gauge how people are really progressing and taking up this thing. What are they learning? I think it can help you in that respect. The second suggestion is that, again, not all the time, maybe even once in a while, maybe once in a month or something like that. I can see the many members here who are learning the regular. I can see labs are open. I think it'll also be good for you and for all of us to again hear from them on what they're doing. Having learned a lot from what you're doing here, you're giving a lot of time for us here. I think it would be good for us also now to hand a mic at all of us here, the audience here, including me who knows nothing about programming, to also say that from this session, this is what we have learned, this is how far we've gone, these are our challenges, but we've learned something here. I think it will further make this program very, very engaging, and it keeps us learning on what actually is happening down there.
Yes.
And it will also help us to come up with better suggestions on how to build on the wonderful thing I've done here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chole. We really appreciate the feedback as well. And the purpose the main purpose of why we always include the question and answer session is for us to get this kind of feedback. Because like I said, like I always say in my sessions, that we are also learning, we're also trying to improve the sessions. We are trying to make sure that the participants get optimal value from the sessions. So that's why I think your points are really important. And I think you've hit the bullseye, actually. I think we shall have, together with Mr. Wamanga, we shall discuss about this, and we shall be able to see how we can arrange some of these question and answer sessions, where we simply have full sessions where I don't share maybe code or anything like that, but we simply have the questions and answer. And I think in the chat, Mr. Chole is also saying that The members can send this in advance. They can send this in advance. You can share the questions with the participants, with the patrons, so that by the time I come here, maybe I have the list of questions and I know what to address. That also guides my presentation in such a way that I'll be able to address some of those questions in that particular presentation without necessarily even saying so and so asked this, and then I respond to that. I can make that part of the presentation. I think it can guide me quite well. And then, as well as I think the second point was about making sure that our members also get to tell us a full session where our members get to tell us what they are working on and how we can actually support them. For example, now the members from St. Mark ICT Club, I've just gotten to know today that you're actually building a robot and so on. I don't know whether you were around in the last session, but I had actually asked the members to say something and they didn't. I think they asked about HTML and CSS, but I didn't know that you had even gone a bit far. So Mr. Chole, I think you want to say something. Let me allow you to say it. Mr. Chole? Mr. Chole, I can see your hand is up. Oh, I have to unmute. Sorry. You unmuted. I always forget. Mr. Chole? Okay. Mr. Chole, I think something is wrong with my interface here. Is Mr. Chole still on? Sorry about that.
Actually, I have nothing to say. You have already said it all. I think I've filled up very well. Unfortunately, my hand still remain hanging up. So
yes. Okay. Sorry. Okay. All right. So I promise to keep all these in mind as we structure the next session, because as you will see, I think for those who have noticed from our first session, all the sessions have been becoming a little bit better. From where we started from, our first session wasn't as engaging as this, but our second session was a bit better, our third, our fourth, and our sixth, I think, has also been a bit more interactive. So St. Mark, I can see your hand is up. The people from St. Mark. You want to say something else? St. Mark. So please take note of the fact that I've shared my contact as well as my email in the chat for those who are asking for that. Mr. Nato? Mr. Nato, unmute, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So for me, what I wanted to add on,
yes,
just like somebody said, that we send those questions in advance so that you can put them in presentation.
yes.
So I was of the view, if the questions for this time, we can just type them as we send in the message form.
Okay.
And then the sessions can continue. Then later on, in the next session, where you can organize a presentation with those answer the questions using the maybe in the way of helping them directly in the code when we are coding. So it could be better that way, so that we increase the time that we spend in question and answer. Just like that, so that the questions for this time, which we ask you via the message, we only send it there knowing that the answers will be there in the next session. And then the presentation plus actually, for if I did not understand it, maybe like, for example, adding a video very well, so you can again repeat in the next session answering the question which I asked this time.
Okay. All right. That is good. That is good. Thank you, Mr. Nato, for the feedback. So I think based on your feedback, Mr. Nato, I think I can handle the questions as well partly in my recap. Whenever I have maybe session 4 recap or session 5 recap, that's when I can handle the questions that will be typed in the chat. I think that is better. It will also improve the quality of my recap. Instead of it just being about the slides that I shared, it can also be about the questions that were asked after the session. I think that's a very good suggestion, and I will keep that in mind. I'll make sure that my recap also covers the questions that the members ask on the group. So I want to encourage the members to always type the questions as well in the chat, so that we can make sure that as this session is being recorded, the questions are also recorded as part of the session. So it creates a way that creates a database for me, in other words, where I can just click and see all the questions and then address them in the next session. So Mr. Nato, do you want to add? Because I can see your hand is still up.
Not really, I just forget.
Okay.
But it is so nice, to always not have all this time of question and answer, but we get more time in coding actually.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Yes. So St. Mark, I'm going to unmute St. Mark. St. Mark? Yes.
Like we're trying to say, like, are you programming for us some holiday sessions?
Yes, like I said, every Saturday, irrespective of whether it is a holiday or it is part of the term, we always have this session. So you'll be able, maybe if you're at home, in case you have an internet connection, you have a mobile phone, you can be able to join in alone. As you can see, some of the members here, Mr. Chole, Nato, our patrons as well, they are joining in individually. So there will be no limitation every Saturday at 3 p.m. I will always be here. If not, if I'm not available, obviously we shall get someone who can represent us, but trust me, we shall be here every Saturday to share with you something new. I hope that answers your question. Okay. So I think if there are no other questions, please allow me to put the session to an end. And please take note of the fact that this session will be posted today. And in case you want to review it, you can go to YouTube and check out now session 6. This is session 6. Allow me to appreciate all the patrons, all the students that have spared some time this weekend to participate in our weekly session. So with that, please have a very wonderful evening, and let's meet next Saturday. Bye to everyone.